Judge Miller, how long have you been on the bench?
So I've been a county judge in Volusia for a little over 2 years. I was appointed in 2018 by Governor Scott in February, and I took the bench on March 1st, 2018. Since that time, I've been in the Deland Courthouse. I hear civil cases, a lot of landlord-tenant eviction matters, breach of contract, small claims cases, tort cases, anything under the $30,000 mark. I also preside over first appearances out at the county jail on a rotational basis, and I am cross-sworn to handle circuit judge duties as well.
What aspect from both your personal background and professional background do you feel qualifies you most to be a judge, and why?
Sure, that's a good question. I think from the personal background, it would be my demeanor. I think I'm fairly well known as being a calm and level-headed and reasonable person, and I think that demeanor is very important in judges. Everyone's heard of the black robe syndrome, and that certainly can be a real thing. There's been examples of it in the media over time throughout the state, and it's very important that judges remain calm on the bench, that they have a good demeanor, treat people fairly, and treat people like they would want to be treated. It's very important, particularly because cases, civil litigation, criminal litigation, can get quite heated and adversarial sometimes. The parties can get very emotional about their cases. So having a calm, steady hand on the bench guiding the parties can help to diffuse those situations and really bring the focus back to where it should be, on the merits of the case, and focusing the parties in on their evidence and their arguments without the distraction that sometimes emotion and anger can bring into a very otherwise adversarial process. I think it also helps judges with case management if they have a good demeanor. A judge that is calm and level-headed, clear-thinking on the bench can really help to effectively and efficiently move through a docket and help parties address their cases in that manner. From a professional standpoint, I would say that the depth and breadth of my legal experience, both as a lawyer before I became a judge and in the 2 years I've been on the bench, is one of the most important aspects that qualifies me to be a judge. For about 12 years before I was appointed by Governor Scott, I was a prosecutor in the 7th Judicial Circuit. As a prosecutor, I tried 70 jury trials, including many first-degree murder cases, and I handled over 5,000 cases as a prosecutor. I was assigned to many different divisions within the state attorney's office: the drug trafficking unit, the career criminal, sex crimes unit, and then I spent 3 years in the homicide unit as well. I also supervised other attorneys there, more junior attorneys, as a mentor and as a docket lead attorney as a prosecutor. In addition to my experience as a prosecutor, I also did some time in private practice handling civil litigation. Although I was only there briefly in 2011, I did get a chance to travel throughout the state to handle cases down in Miami, in Tampa, and Orlando, and I really got to see a variety of judicial styles throughout the state, both good and some bad. And I think one of the great things that I was able to take from that experience and would continue to learn from going forward is I would take the best of those examples that I saw throughout the state in terms of case management, how the judge interacts with the lawyers and with the parties, and that's part of the depth and breadth of my experience that I would continue to bring with me onto the bench. In addition to that, I have been doing the job for the last 2 years. So I have over 2 years of practical, on-the-job training and experience that will help me continue to serve the public as a county judge. In that time, I've presided over hundreds of hearings and trials, and I think that the combination of those two experiences really should help give voters the confidence that I will be able to decide their cases promptly, fairly, and follow the law accurately under the law.
Other than trustworthiness, fairness, and lack of bias, what 2 characteristics do you feel are most important for a judge to have, and why?
The first characteristic, I think, it would be humility. It's important to be humble as a judge because, again, that black robe syndrome, you really want to avoid that. And it's important to treat people fairly and respectfully on the bench. You've got to remember that as a judge, it comes down to what you view your role as a judge. And I personally view my role as a judge as being a public servant. I think I'm there to help the parties, whether they're represented or not, move their case forward through the court system expeditiously and give them a fair hearing. Make sure that they feel that they were heard. And being humble will help you understand and appreciate that role as a public servant. Secondly, it can also, if you have humility, can help you understand and accept that you don't know everything. No judge is blessed with infinite knowledge of the law or the parties or the cases that come before them. And so knowing and recognizing that there is always more to learn will hopefully help motivate you as a judge to continue that lifelong process of learning and developing and honing your craft and continuing to develop as a jurist. I think the second characteristic that would be important for a judge is intelligence. As a judge, you have to comprehend and analyze and interpret thousands of different statutes and rules, as well as the cases that interpret them. And you're also called upon to analyze complicated factual scenarios. Even in county court, we have some of those scenarios come up from time to time in court. You may be called upon to reconcile or to determine the credibility of competing expert or lay witnesses, and that requires intelligence to be able to do that competently and accurately. Hearings and trials are dynamic environments. Judges are often presented with new or changing information that you necessarily weren't expecting when you came into the hearing. And that real critical thinking ability to process new information, analyze it accurately, and respond and incorporate that new information into your rulings is a very key skill, I think, to being a good jurist. So again, intelligence plays a role, I think, a critical role in making someone a good judge. Many times you're called upon to rule on evidentiary issues during hearings and trials. And you have to often do that on the spot with little or no time to do additional research without slowing down the proceedings and possibly annoying the parties because you need to take time to go and research an issue that you should have been able to rule on the spot with a good working knowledge of the evidence code, something that I developed as a trial lawyer for many years and now, again, on the bench for the last 2 years. As a side note, one thing also that kind of plays into this is you have to be comfortable with technology, and I think intelligence really helps with that. Before I went to law school, I spent some time selling computers through Dell and then through a computer store in Nashville. And I just thought it was a passion or a hobby before I came to the bench, but I really have come to see that it is a critical skill, especially in today's environment with the coronavirus pandemic and COVID-19. We've been transitioning to performing court services more and more through Zoom and other online platforms. And you as the judge, you're the host of those meetings, and you have to be comfortable with that technology to control the process and control the litigants and effectively and efficiently move those cases along using that new technology. Who knows what the future will hold, but I certainly think technology will play a key role in it.
Outside of the legal profession and legal associations, describe your involvement in the community.
I'm an active member of my Deland Rotary Club. Through that organization, I have helped participate in distributing dictionaries. We have an annual event where we give away dictionaries to third graders throughout the West Volusia area at different schools. Also, during the coronavirus pandemic, I was involved in helping to package and distribute meals for senior citizens in the area. Also, we have a Flag Day ceremony, and every national holiday, my Rotary group likes to put out flags along the boulevard in downtown Deland, and so I've enjoyed being involved in that activity. Even away from Rotary, I've also helped with feeding the homeless with Halifax Urban Ministries from time to time up in Ormond. I've also been involved with building houses through the Habitat for Humanity program that most folks are familiar with. Also, I'm a member of the St. Barnabas Episcopal Church in Deland, and for several years, both as a lawyer and I've continued as a judge to volunteer with the Teen Court program. So that's how I like to get involved with the community, more direct, hands-on, roll up the sleeves, volunteering.